right, thank you for staying with us. This is the Fridays edition of the Max Morning Show, and what we do on Friday is all about music, movies, and today, poetry. We're going to have a little surprise for you much later. Someone called Nyash. I've said it just once. I'm not going to say it anymore. But we have Emma Officer here. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing amazing. How about you?
Adam.
Yeah, there are
that's why I can't poet and I need some any poetry nyadi Ghana ha I say ye ni ko hu papa but nyame animu and kakra say e basro spoken word is resurrecting nkakra
we resurrect
and yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Somehow we are selling you. Well, but it's good to have you here. You're from Kenya?
Yeah, I'm from Kenya.
Which part of Kenya?
I'm from Kenya, Nakuru, Kenya.
Okay.
It's a city in Kenya.
You're welcome to Ghana.
I'm
sure you heard of a lot of Akwaba.
Yeah, on the airport, everywhere.
Akwaba. You know what that means, right?
I mean, it means welcome.
Good. So you're welcome to Ghana.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let me come back to you. Yeni anwinsem hu nkomo e kakra. Na me sin kakra I say nyane ba. One me ya adwene.
Oh, ye nyane dada. Ye wo hokra dada. Because we share ye nyom to, we share ye rap, we share ye screenplay. Ejumedie bi ye creative art centered. No, poetry wo ho. Poetry I said the cell of all the creative of all the arts. Inti we've always been there, but I think performance arts na afiansana embrace that kind of craft into eboa say event say say the be adodo na be who say enye say e be kitwe be but it's a whole industry on its own.
So tell us about the event.
Okay, so it's the All African Women Poetry Festival and it's scheduled to happen. It actually has started. We started on 23rd, which was yesterday. We end with a closing concert tomorrow, which is the 25th African Union Day, and we have 8 poets from different African countries from the diaspora represented. We have Kenya, we have South Africa, we have Nigeria, we have poets from Canada, from the USA, from Ghana, all here. In Ochinano, we have a closing concert at our W.E.B. Du Bois Center, our cantonments, just near the American Embassy. The main reason why we edition no Sanka Efwa Sutherland Etiasia and 100th year ni into as part of her centenary celebrations no ye two jumedie yesi ho say ye de be hye ne nyam ye de be celebrating no na yama ye reintroducing no amadodo ne who say she did more than just being named after the children's park. She was a playwright, she was a child development advocate. She was a cultural activist. She was even a Pan-Africanist. She wrote several plays, and she was a poet. That part people don't know about it. In Tiendano Pano, we have 5 secondary schools coming together to compete. In some way, inter-school spoken word competition. At first category, no poems, for Sutherland poems, and we've been training them for the past 1 month. In Tiendano, babe training, through Nyama Yatromo, not on my performing, and there's a prize for that as well. Into All African Women Poetry Festival, no, basically telling the African story or the untold stories of women from the woman's perspective through poetry and through folklore.
What's it? Musha CM say Enra. And na it is saying.
Oh, and run good. In for by opening. It's by Reverend Dr. Joyce. I na chairperson. Or by for guest. So in love with her. She was phenomenal. We had Professor Uasari on our panel. Prof. A.C. Sutherland on our panel for the opening. We had Prof. Kofi Poku. Also on our panel, so we had the kind courtesy support from the First Lady of the Republic. Really, it was good and well attended.
So what do we look forward to today?
A lot of poetry, a lot of workshops, and there were 5 more workshops, 5 panel conversations. All on our website, also Moshe Instagram, the flyers ni nyina to hono minti Mumbra fiti anopawe 9:30 starting inter-school spoken word competition no until the students will be here from different schools. We have over 200 students coming around to compete and support their people area kakra we have the workshop starting towards 4:30, the panel conversations, and then a film screening in the evening. It's a bepe popcorn and movie.
Docu-series.
Free, free. The only thing we're paying for is the concert on Saturday. So China concerts near 150 cedis. So per ticket, just go to *714*11*19# and our COVID ticket platform. So ubenya ticket. So now by gate as well. You bet me about tickets our gate.
All right. So we're promoting the All African Poetry.
Women Poetry.
Women Poetry. It's all about women, and
all about.
And you have this beautiful lady. State your full name for the record, as if you are in court. State your full name.
So my full name is Nyangari Masharia.
Nyangari Masharia.
Yeah.
Did I pronounce it right?
Nyangari, yes.
Nyangari Masharia.
Yes.
But people have a hard time mentioning it.
Yes.
And so the shortcut is Nyash.
Yes.
Nyash means something totally different here in Ghana. You don't want to call yourself Nyash around here. But anyway, Nyangari, it's good to have you in Ghana.
Thank you so
I
much.
understand you have some spoken word for us.
I do.
Please go ahead.
Okay. There is an anthology that was launched in the All African Women Poetry Festival. And I'm going to read a piece. It's in Swahili, but I'm going to interpret it after I'm done.
Okay.
Yes. Kutoka mwanzo wa historia, kina mama walipigania uhuru. Mikono yao ya kulia ikishikilia familia, ya kushoto ikipigania haki zao za kijinsia. It's crazy. They had their hands full. Crazier still how they were treated as fools. But the craziest thing ni kwa nchi tunaita motherland, haki kwa mwanamke haikuwahi pewa the upper hand. Watu tuligeuza Musa watusaidie kuvuka to the other side, wakatugeuka, wakaturuka. Lakini cheki mali tumefika. Tuko in a better place, in a worse society. On one end tunapigania uhai, on the other end tunapigania haki. Bado tunapigana, tunapingana, tunashindana kwa forums za equal opportunities, bado tunapigania equality. Cheki mahali tumefika. Kwa Olympics wakimbiaji wanakimbia for their country, na wakirudi nyumbani they still run for their lives. Manyumbani father figures wamegeuza nyumba zao boxing rings, wao ni Mayweather. Wives zao ndio punching bags. Job breakers ikakuwa more common manyumbani than madukani. Cheki mali tumefika. Graph za kutreat women right zimekuwa zikienda left. Cheki mali tumefika. Mwanamke ni kioo cha jamii, lakini jamii imefracture image yake kwa mira. Mwanamke ni funguo, lakini jamii iko stuck kwa doily claim success ni nadra. No, I'm almost done.
Okay.
Mwanamke ni hati miliki ya ukoo, kwa jamii kinara. Mwanamke ni urithi, bila yeye jamii ni fukara. Kutoka mwanzo wa historia, hata hapa tumefikia. Bendera ya thamani ya mwanamke haijawahi fikia upeo.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so
Although
much.
I understood about 20% of what you read,
Thank you.
it still sounded somehow good. So interpret, what's that all about?
So first of all, the language I've used is Sheng. In my country, we do an aesthetic blend of English and Swahili.
Okay.
That is why you heard me like weave into some words in English and then some words you do not understand.
Okay.
Basically, what the piece is saying is that a room full of women is a room full of pain. Yeah.
A room full of women is a room full of pain.
Yes, because of the experiences women have to go through, and it brings us back from when history began. So the opening line is that right from the beginning, women fought for autonomy. We fought for autonomy, independence. Their right hands, you know, holding their families, their left hands fighting for their rights. You know, it's crazy how they had their hands full. But the craziest thing is how, you know, from the beginning, women were treated, you know. So it's like a journey I'm explaining from how we began to where we are. And as much as we are making progress, we still have a long way to go. Yeah, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask some questions from what you just said.
Sure.
Holding their families with their right hand and fighting for autonomy or freedom or liberation with the left hand.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Well,
based on what you've experienced, because you began by saying a room full of women is a room full of pain.
Yeah.
And we all know what African women have to endure.
Exactly.
FGM, childbirth, neglect, and all of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure what we experience here in Ghana is the same thing in Kenya.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that.
Okay, so you know, when we talk about the fight for independence, a lot of us give a keen eye towards the men that fought, but we forget that women fought too, right?
Can you raise your voice a little bit for me? I know.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
It gets, you know, it gets emotional, and the voice
yeah,
drops an octave lower.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, when we fought for our independence, you know, there were men, of course, and a lot of stories we've heard are about men. Not that we are invalidating them, we really respect that.
Yeah.
But, you know, they had women behind them. They had women also fought for independence. And it's these women that are still fighting, but still holding on, because they have to take care of their families, because they have to do the chores back at home, because they have to feed their husbands, right? So when I'm bringing up the analogy of the right and the left hands, is basically saying that both they had their hands full with responsibility and still fighting, you know, for what they believe in. And it's still happening today. So it's something where we bring from the past, we bring it to where we are. Because right now you realize that women, they have families to take care of. They have jobs to do. They have so many things to do. We fight for rights, we fight for autonomy still, we still fight for equality. There's a line I've said that we still fight for equality even in forums of equal opportunities.
Wow.
You know, so it's something that is progressive. Of course, with what we have seen in the past is that there has been progress.
Yes.
There has been
certainly.
change. Yeah.
Certainly.
So
I
that
mean,
is
today,
yeah.
women can come together
Thank you.
And
and have a festival
Yes.
Yeah.
where they celebrate
Exactly.
women poets. That some years back, you know, it had to be a mixed bag.
Exactly.
The men have to be there, or else nobody was going to look at you.
Exactly.
So we have really made progress.
sure.
Now, you're from Kenya.
I am.
Talk to us about some of the real issues that Kenyan women face.
Wow, wow. Actually, we've been having conversations with the beautiful, amazing talents from all over Africa. My God, I have to say, of course, it's a beautiful, beautiful space, and we appreciate the festival for putting this together. But one of the things that we know we face that is similar in other countries, number one, is gender-based violence.
Gender-based violence?
Yes. So gender-based violence is happening. Actually, when the year began in Kenya, there was such a rampant increase in cases of women being killed that we launched a whole campaign against femicide, you know. So
I think it's something in that South African, East African space.
Yeah.
Femicide is big.
It's big, it's big, it's really big. And you just realize that a woman is being killed by her romantic partner. A woman is being killed by her husband. A woman has been killed just because she is a woman, you know. And because you get out of the house and you do not know if you're going to be part of the statistic, you know. So the numbers were so rampant because towards the end of last year, a lot of deaths happened in my country. And most of them were women, you know, in such situations, and we fought against that. So we fight against gender-based violence in the capacity of, from little girls. Little girls are facing abuse, you know, from people that they look up to as their father figures. You know, girls in schools are being abused by their, you know, teachers.
Teachers and peers.
Exactly. Women in workplaces, you know, they're being abused by people that work with them. And that is part of the fight that we're fighting against. A number of other things that happen, you know, for women is that, you know, we're still fighting for equality. Of course, we acknowledge that there are so many spaces right now that did not used to have women, especially as a creative, I can talk in that capacity, is that right now they incorporate us in events, in festivals, and long ago, perhaps the numbers were a little bit down, but right now they are far much better.
I want to go to Fosua a bit. What was the motive for bringing all these great poets across Africa to converge in one place? She talks about gender-based violence and trumpeting, against it, demonstrating against it to cut down on the numbers. Apart from that, what other motive? What's the rationale behind bringing all these beautiful women across Africa together?
I think one very important thing she mentioned was the fact that women have always been part of the fight.
Yes.
But the thing is, we have also remained footnotes in the conversation. And so when the history of Ghana is written, you talk about how the market women really were pivotal in the independence struggle.
Nah, Shikisha and the rest.
But until recent documentaries been pioneered by women, these women were rarely known. They were not known. We would call the women, we put them in clusters. We categorize them as a label, but not a particular name. And so for us, we believe that if a woman did something, she deserves the credit and her name has to be on it. History has to remember her for who she was, her name. It's very important, not the fact that she remains a woman in a clustered umbrella. And so one of the main things is to document these undocumented women, is to tell the untold stories, is so that we also don't become footnotes in history
like
to come.
Sutherland.
So
I didn't know she was a poet. I know she was a playwright, a child advocate, but I didn't know she was a poet.
And she was much more than that. She was actually an institution builder. The National Theatre, the National Drama Studio, or the Drama Studio as is, or the drama theatre movement in Ghana was pioneered by her. She instituted the Ghana Writers Association. Ifwa Sutherland led many amazing, huge projects. Even pioneering the whole intercultural exchange of getting people to come experience what happens here in Ghana and out there. She's pioneered some of these things as well, and wrote amazing poetry, and even conversations of having parks and spaces and preserving areas where people can come to rest and just connect with nature and just be themselves without getting stuck in the everyday struggle of rudimentary work was part of the things she did. And all these conversations on making sure that gender-based equality, gender-based violence is reduced, and we have equal opportunities in all the spaces are embedded in some of the things that
you talked about some big people behind you. Joyce Aye, the First Lady of the Republic, and all of that. But what are, apart from these big names behind you, certainly you must have one or two challenges.
Right.
What are some of the challenges you're having at this time, putting all this together?
Yeah, I think it's been a whole journey of trying to prove concept, because there's nothing like this on the continent.
There's nothing like this.
Nothing like this exists on the continent. The All African Women Poetry Festival.
All African women.
All African women.
All African women poetry, because I've seen some guys, putting from Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and all of that. It's all male kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this one is
the
All African Women Poets.
Poets, yes.
It's the first of its kind?
It's the first of its kind on the continent.
Wow.
There's nothing like this. And so the challenge is proving concept. It's letting people understand that this is possible, this is doable. But I think we've had amazing organizations like the KGL Foundation backing us. They supported us last year. They're still with us this year, like the Ghana Tourism Authority throwing their weight behind us this year. Like Ultra, the hair brand, a lot of sponsors. We have like the Writers Project, like Beyond the Return, UNESCO. We have a Mofra Foundation. Wow. All these people now have seen, okay, this happened last year. This is possible. The story is going out there. The challenge has always been funding, because it takes a lot of funds to move something like this. And the many names I mentioned today are names that also saw proof of concept last year and have come on board this year to add to the story. And so I'm very grateful for the opportunity of people who are believing in a dream, but most importantly, very, very grateful for each and every one of our sponsors for putting some sort of support, and our logistic partners as well for all that.
Let's come back to you. Your name?
Yash.
No, I don't want Yash.
Nyangari.
Okay, Nyangari.
Yeah.
Have you tried any Ghanaian food?
Oh, jollof rice.
Okay, so there's Kenya jollof. You know that, right? That.
Yeah, there is. But there was the whole
So
pump.
compare the Kenya jollof and Ghana jollof. Be honest.
This sounds like a trick question.
So the Kenya jollof and the Ghana jollof.
I have to say though that I'm not comparing though, but it's really good.
The Ghana jollof is good.
The Ghana jollof is good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
What did you have it with? Chicken, fish?
There was I had it with chicken.
You had it with chicken.
And chili, you know, Ghana
chili,
and chili.
Yeah, we like spicy food.
Yeah, you like spicy food. That's also a difference between your country and
you
mine.
don't eat a lot of...
We don't eat a lot of it.
Pepper.
Pepper. I've had
Moko, you know, we call it moko in the account. Have you learned any language so far? Apart from, obviously, Akwaba. Akwaba is in your face, it's in your ear. I mean, you are told every second.
Yeah.
So forget Akwaba. What language have you, anything you've picked up so far?
I've picked up the transport, the public means of transport. It's slipping from my head a little bit.
It starts with a T.
Okay. It will come. It will come.
Trotro.
Yes.
So, trotro.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Also pepper, you know, pepper.
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 Pepper is English, oh. How do you say
it is, but the pronunciation is a little bit different with ours.
So I was here for any Emma Ofuswa, any Nyangari, our free Kenya, and now Eddie and Komo and Bibremu and Ma, what can mean sim. As she said, a good dear who I can one boom say. Would did you masumbi a one crime say it to so I can't Nina, Yada, Assessa, and a probably kind of show this way trying one.